Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Take2Fishing. My name's William, and of course, I'm still your host. I'm not in a boat, I'm not on the water, and I don't have a pole in my hand. So this is the very first video that I have actually done on this. You guys bear with me. I am not a professional by all means, but this is a DIY educational video that would help you guys out, and I wanted to put it out there. So in my last video, which was a huge announcement, I hope you guys have watched that. If you have not, be sure to check that out. I'll put it up above so that you guys can watch that video. Made a huge announcement that Take2Fishing was going to become also Take2Baits. And man, let me tell you, I couldn't have made a better decision than to get into the bait game. Now, granted, it is a very large market that's out there. So many companies, so many individuals that are actually making soft plastics. But I took a stab at it, not literally, but I took a stab at it and wanted to see if this game was for me as well. And after doing much needed research, I got on the web and looked up and found a company by the name of Bait Plastics. So many companies that's out there. Look, I am not employed by Bait Plastics LLC. By any means do they pay me any type of cash for anything that I'm doing. This is simply an educational video that I want to pass out there to so many people that have thought about getting in the game, or B, are already in the game and need to take that next step. Bait Plastics offers so many things to kind of help you guys get started in the game, or to help your game out and become winners in the game. We're talking about glitters, highlights, plastisols, pigments, safety products, degassing chambers, single injectors, dual injectors, coloring wheels, worm oils, worm scents, bait scents. Man, the list goes on and on and on. But anyway, listen. So I am actually in a storage shed that I turned into a bait shop, and it's an excellent place to actually make baits. But I want to talk to you about a couple things. I'm gonna be switching up cameras here in just a minute, but I don't want to run you guys off, so I want to get into it right off the bat. So you wake up one morning and you decide to yourself, hey man, I want to start making soft plastics. What do I need to do? Well, it's simple. It really is simple, and let me explain that to you. So Bait Plastics offers what they call a startup kit. So I don't want to spend a bunch of money. I just want to find out if it's something I even want to do. If by chance you hear a chicken in the background, I'm sorry, I got chickens in the background, and that's funny. But anyway, so you decide what you want to get into. Now, if you're just testing the waters on this, there are some inexpensive molds that you can buy, whether they be CNC aluminum, or whether they be plastic, or whether they be a molded silicone of some sort. You can simply hand pour your plastics, or you can inject them into an aluminum CNC style mold. And this is actually an aluminum CNC style mold. Now, this mold here does not clamp. This actually requires a clamp, and these clamps I actually picked up. I like these style clamps simply because I can double clamp this injection mold and feel certain that I'm not going to have to worry about it flashing on me or hot plastic oozing out somewhere. So because of the fact that I'm using a plastic style clamp here, I don't have to be concerned about damaging the mold. I do not recommend using C-clamps that are made of metal. By all means, stay away from them. So you buy you a starter kit, and let's just say you jump on a website that auctions or sells off CNC molds, and you buy you one. So keep in mind that you're gonna have a couple clamps for that, and then you're gonna have to buy you an injector. You can get a 4-ounce injector, an 8-ounce injector. There's so many different injectors that's out there. But man, I've done my homework. That's just all there is to it. So there's injectors that are out there that this this end cap here just simply pulls off, and that's just all there to it. But if you're sitting here and you're thinking, man, I'm putting pressure behind 350 degrees of hot plastic with coloring in it, of course, there's always that possibility that you're going to blow the end of this cap off. Butch over at Bait Plastics, I told him, I said, man, I love the design because it's got the added safety feature, and this is an 8-ounce single injector that I actually picked up from Bait Plastics, and you can find that on their website. You can start out with a simple, like I said, this simple 4-ounce injector off the internet somewhere. You don't have to put a whole lot of money in it. Sometimes someone's decided that they wanted to upgrade, and you can find something that was once theirs that they decided to upgrade. You're going to need a Pyrex that you can actually heat up the Polysol in. I got to tell you a couple things right off the bat. Anything that's going to be associated with making soft plastic baits is only going to be used for soft plastic baits. I do not recommend carrying this knife into the house and using it at the dinner table. I do not recommend taking this Pyrex measuring cup back to mama and letting her use it for her cakes. That's just something you got to get right off the bat. You got to be knowledgeable to know that there are some hazards associated with the chemicals. I heat all my plastic in a microwave. I use a 1,000-watt microwave. I heat my plastic to 350 degrees. And how do I know it's at 350 degrees? Simple, I use a temperature gun. I've got a thermometer I can drop down in it, or I can use a temperature gun. I tend to use the temperature gun more than anything. I'm not saying you got to buy a temperature gun. I'm just saying, look, a lot of people have temperature guns. If you're an automotive mechanic, you'll have one. You can use a thermometer, dial style drop-in thermometer. Do not use any sort of mercury thermometer that will not handle a 350 degree reading by all means. You're going to need pigments. You're going to need glitters. And like I said earlier, you can get a starter pack from Bait Plastics LLC. And in that starter pack, you can kind of let Butch and them know what you're looking for as far as what colors and what glitters and stuff like that. You'll actually have that choice on their website to pick out the couple colors that you're interested in. Today we'll actually be shooting a real common color. This is a watermelon red, used with a watermelon, green watermelon pigment coloring and a 40.40 red glitter, also by Bait Plastics. I recommend using gloves. I have picked up a hot Pyrex barehanded. It was not fun. Safety glasses, also recommend safety glasses. But listen, I'm going to change. There's so many more things to talk about, but I'm going to change my camera. And man, we're going to make some 10-inch curl tail worms in this particular mold that does not require any type of clamping. I love this mold. This is awesome. I actually have 5 different molds from this particular company, and I love their molds, I will say that. So let me change the camera, get this thing switched up, and then man, we'll make some 10-inch worms. Be right back. All right, guys, so I am now suited up and ready to kind of talk a little bit more about the process of making some of these worms here. So this is actually a 152 soft plastisol product that came from Bait Plastics, and I'm just kind of finishing up on a gallon here. And let me walk over here, turn this off. I'll explain that in a second. This is a soft lure plastisol, and I actually started out with a medium. Medium's a little bit more durable, and I kind of wanted to test the waters first. So Butch recommended to start out with the medium, and I did so. And after pouring about 3 or 4 gallons of medium, I wound up actually shifting over to the soft. This is my preference. Now, to each their own. You may decide, hey, you know, I like the soft, but I also like the medium. The swim baits, they tend to be better off in a medium. Some of the worms tend to be a little bit better on the soft side. So once you've received your product, your Plastisol product from Bait Plastics or any other manufacturer, you definitely want to stir this, mix this, shake this, whatever you want to do. If you're to shake it, you're going to create a lot of bubbles. All right, that's just part of it. You can shake it today, come back tomorrow and do your worms. Give it a time to actually allow the bubbles to rise to the top, because you're going to have bubbles in your worms if you shake this, unless you purchase a degassing chamber. Degassing chamber, actually, I'll show you guys one here in a minute, actually pulls a vacuum on the product to help remove gases and moistures and stuff of that nature, and it eliminates bubbles. When I started out, I did not have a degassing chamber, and I called Butch up and I told Butch, I was like, man, Butch, I'm suffering on my end. I've noticed that a lot of my baits have got bubbles, and I do not like that. What is it that I can do to eliminate this from happening? And he told me, he said, William, you need a degassing chamber. And so he explained it a little bit to me. I read a little bit about it, and he sent me one, and I started using it right away. But if you guys are going to be, like I said, doing this, you know, for yourself or for a buddy, you don't have to invest in all that stuff. So I'm going to move this out of the way and set it down here with the rest of the Plastisol. And what I've done is I've poured 1 measuring cup of soft Plastisol. You see what it looks like. And I've got this in a Pyrex measuring cup. And I'm going to put this in a microwave. This is a 1,000-watt microwave that I bought from Walmart. I'm happy with that. Again, I watched a bunch of YouTube videos and seen a lot of guys were, you know, they were saying, hey, I'm using a 1,000-watt microwave. So it worked out. This is going to be heated up for about 3 minutes. And what I do, I let it heat up for 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. I'll take it out and I'll stir it. I'll put it back in, heat it again, and then I'll take it back out and stir it. And you'll see that it'll actually go through a change process. It'll go from that milky color to a thick, clear, milky kind of color. And then finally, when it gets up to around 350, it actually begins to thin out and clear out. So we'll give this a chance to heat up. I've already degassed this, and I used a degassing chamber to do it, so I won't bore you with that process. But we'll allow this to heat up to 350, and when it gets there, we'll go through the next step. Okay, so being how I'm actually outside and doing soft plastics, I had to figure out a way to get my molds and my injector to a reasonable temperature so that when I went to suck up my Plastisol, it wouldn't instantly hard on me. So I've got a toaster oven here, and this is pretty warm right now. I can hold it in my hand, but I don't think I want to sit there and hold it forever. It says 80 degrees, so that's not too bad. So anyway, what I've done is I've simply heated up my mold and my injector in my toaster oven, all right? And that allows me the ability to work with the plastic in a much better way. If you take your hot plastic and you go to suck it up in your injector, and your injector's cold, right off the bat, it's gonna stop up right there in that nozzle. And once that happens, you pretty much got to disassemble. And speaking of disassembling, man, I love this injector. This injector is awesome. This is an 8-ounce single injector from Bait Plastics with an additional safety lock on it, so that I don't have to worry about, as I'm shooting, the cap blowing off and getting 350 340, 350 degree hot plastic all over me. So this thing actually locks in place. You don't necessarily have to have this style injector, but I wanted to make sure that I'd done it right. And there's going to be someone out there that got into it in the starting process and said, it's not me. And he's got his stuff in a cardboard box and he's ready to sell it. And you might be able to pick it up off of him somewhere, off a website or Facebook or something of that nature. The plastic beeped again. That was in the microwave, so now we're going to pull it out. As you can see, the smoke kind of rolling out of there. And we're going to kind of look at it here. The clarity of it is so much better now. As you can see, it's really cleared up. It may be slightly warmer than 350, so we're going to shoot it and find out. So we've got this setting out, and we're going to take the tipster gun, we're going to shoot it. Of course, out here, the fumes, I've got ventilation. I've got a couple fans that run pretty much automatically or manual when I turn them on. But we're going to shoot this, and as you can see, it's right around 363 on the surface. And then once we give it a little stir there, that'll kind of change it up a little bit, and that's pretty typical. But being that it's out and we're going to be doing some talking and everything, it'll actually cool down on us, and especially when we start adding pigments and stuff. So this is a pigmented watermelon. You can get pigments and powders and highlights. There's actually so many different choices that's out there. But we're actually going to be shooting, I said something about rags. If I didn't, make sure you got a rag handy. We're actually going to be shooting this watermelon red. So with 1 cup, should be about 7 drops. So as you see, I've got my 7 drops in there, and you can actually watch it start to change on me. And again, this is a watermelon color. That's a little light, lighter than I want. So I add 3 more drops to it. That should darken it up a little bit. Now I shoot my stuff with a little bit more consistency. If I'm gonna be shooting, let's just say hypothetically, I'm gonna be making 10 bags up, I'll actually take a knife of this hot plastic and I'll just drip it there on my white board, and I'll actually watch it to see what kind of color shade it's going to give me. And then, so if I mix up another batch, I know that I pretty much need to be this color right here. Measuring spoons, if you steal them out of the kitchen, don't carry them back in the house. So I'm going to be using a 1/4 teaspoon, and I'm going to be using some of this 0.40 glitter. This is actually a red. I use about 1 spoon of glitter in a 1 cup measuring cup of Polysol, and that should give me a pretty good glitter base into this particular mix here. So you can see now, there we go. So I like that. It looks good. And what I'm actually going to do to this mold, again, this mold has been sitting in a toaster oven, is so that we don't have to worry about when I go to separate it, I don't have to worry about it sticking on me. I spray a little bit of worm oil on that thing. Get my mold set up here. So again, this had a chance to cool down to about 320 degrees. Because I've warmed everything up, I know that I can shoot with a 320 plastic. Get my glove on here, and I'm going to draw up 8 ounces plastic. And then I'm gonna shoot out just a little bit to kind of get some air out of it. Come over here to my mold and inject my mold. And I'm gonna hold a little bit of down pressure on my injector. Not a whole lot. It doesn't take a whole lot. If you were using a clamp style injector, if you hold a lot of down pressure, that thing is going to blow out on you. Now, these molds that I actually use are actually pretty good about not sucking down a whole lot of the plastic, but you want to make sure that if your mold does start sucking down on you, that you just simply take your measuring cup that you've got and just top it back off a little bit. And that right there is called a sprue. That's just down inside the mold there. And we'll let this set here for a second, and then we'll pop it out and see what we got. All right, so we've actually allowed this enough time to cool down, and I've actually went ahead and pulled another mold out. Got the Plastisol heating up just a little bit, but pulled another mold out that is a clamp style to give you guys a little bit more intuitive information in regards to clamp style molds. But let's unscrew this one and see what it looks like. And this is a 10-inch curltail worm that was actually shot in a watermelon. So there you go. There's a 10-inch worm in watermelon. And we can actually pull one of these out just to kind of give you a little bit better of an idea. So that, again, is a watermelon 10-inch worm with a 0.40 red glitter in it. And man, this is just all around a really good worm. But as you can see, they just pluck right off the sprue really easy. I never throw my sprues away, because if I ever decide to make more watermelon, I just simply save that and add it to my bag. So don't throw your scraps away. There's a lot of people that actually do different things, and that's what all these hooks over here are for on my board. A lot of people will actually take their worms out of the mold, and then they'll hang them up, and they'll just allow them to sit there and hang for maybe 24 hours or something, because there are some color changes that take place. Other guys, like the world's worst fisherman, I've noticed that he'll actually take and pluck his off and actually throw them in some water. Depending on your environment, depending on how well you mix your Plastisol, sometimes they'll come out tacky simply because the Plastisol wasn't melted or shaken up very well, I should have said. I'm sorry. But man, that's a good looking worm right there. So let me get this mold back together, and my microwave's reminding me that it's done, and we'll shoot this trick worm. So now we're going back over here to the microwave. Got my glove on, a little bit of smoke will come out. And there may be enough, again, there may be enough of this watermelon to actually shoot this mold here, but we'll give it a shot and see what happens. So we'll suck it up, and we'll try to stay off the bottom and hopefully don't pick up a bunch of air bubbles. We picked up a couple bubbles there. Tilt my gun up, kind of push it forward to push out some of the air. And again, I just kind of hold a little bit of downward pressure. Not too much, because you don't want it oozing out on you. But this is a clamp style mold. If I was to really just go at it and just push down on this plunger, on this injector hard, I would actually wind up causing it to flash on me pretty good. I go back over to my cup. Now, if I had a measuring cup full of plastic and I was going to shoot back the plastic out of my injector, I would actually shoot it off the side of the glass and allow it time to roll down. You see how it's kind of rolling down there? I would actually inject it back in the glass that way to reduce bubbles back into the product. But because of the fact that we're done with this, we don't have to worry about it. A lot smaller of a mold here. Sprue's a little bit different on this one, so it doesn't tend to suck up either. I take my injector apart. As you can see, I just kind of shoot what's left out, and I always save it. I don't never throw it away. And once I've got that back on, you got to pull your remainder out of the end of your injector nozzle there. I just I've got a place where everything's stored. Now I know this mold's already set up, simply because this mold was actually a little bit cooler. I did not heat this mold up like I did the 10-inch curltail. So as you can see, some of these molds come apart kind of easy. There we go. There we go. So there is your 6-inch trick worm in watermelon. I like that. I like that watermelon. Some neighbor seems to be clearing his exhaust out. Some people like to go a little bit dark on their watermelon. I kind of like this particular shade of watermelon. I personally like exactly where it's at. And this particular shot right here, I'll show you. I can just, like I said, I normally just take them and hang them up there like that and let them set. Come back out here tomorrow. I know that this will actually change colors. It'll darken just a little bit, but as you can see in this particular worm, there are no bubbles, and typically you'll find the bubbles forming more so on the tail than you do anything. You will find the occasional bubble along the middle or whatever, but before I started degassing, I was actually finding a majority of my bubbles in the ends. But this is degassed from the factory, and by the time it gets to me, it has been shook up, tossed around, dropped a few times. That does happen. That's not any one particular's fault at Bait Plastics. But again, man, I can't tell you how happy I am that I've gotten into this adventure. I do, sorry about that. I do strongly advise that if you're going to get into this, just do your homework. It's really simple. You don't have to go all out and spend tons of money. Just get you a starter. And like I said, if you look at the different sizes, this is a, can't remember, I think this is a 4-ounce, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is a 4-ounce. This is a 4-ounce black versus an 8-ounce red. But at the same time, I say you don't have to go all out. And then there's an 8-ounce black right there. But this is 0.15, and you can see I've used quite a bit out of it already. I like a lot of the small glitters, and depending on what I'm shooting, black does tend to change the color of the Polysol itself. So if you're looking for, let's just say hypothetically you was shooting a watermelon and you wanted to add black flake to that, be aware that as you mix up your as you mix up your watermelon and you go to start shooting black glitter with it, it will change the tone or the color of the watermelon and actually make it a little bit darker. But man, listen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I didn't want to make it too long. I am going to bring you more of these videos, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you've got any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I'm glad you guys are part of Take2Fishing, aka Take2Baits. I'm glad to have all you subscribers. I couldn't have done it without you. All your questions and your comments is spectacular. So again, I am by all means not an expert on this, but I have gotten into it pretty deep. And so I'm hoping that it continues to grow for me. You guys check out my webpage, Take2Fishing.com or Take2Baits.com. You can pick up a large variety of soft plastic baits. If you guys want a different color as far as the mix goes, or you're looking for a certain glitter, please don't hesitate. I've got worms, I've got crawls, I got brush hogs, I got creature baits, I've got grubs, I've got stick worms that are core injected, I've got Ned rigs that are core injected, so I can do an inner core red and an outer core clear. There's so many different choices that's out there. But please, again, be sure to like and subscribe to my video if you have not already. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Catch you next time. See ya.